on today's edition, I am talking to the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, according to the Honkometer. It's Santino Marella. How are you today?
Awesome. Thank you. Very nice introduction.
Oh, man. Well, that Honkometer has me all jazzed up because when I emailed you and you responded, I'm like, my God, that Honkometer thing was the greatest segment ever on Raw during that time. Who invented it? Who created it? Why is it the greatest thing?
You know what's funny? Because it was Brian Gewirtz, first of all. That was his. As soon as I read it, I thought it was hilarious. He really understood the Santino character quite well. And a lot of the early gold is all Brian Gewirtz, really. It wasn't around as long as people think because it made such uh, a comedic impact that people think it was around a lot more than it was. It was like for a couple months.
Right. So you held the Intercontinental Championship for 12 weeks. So I guess technically the Honkometer can only go so far. Honky Tonk Man did hold the Intercontinental title for 64 weeks. So you did have a lot of traction 12 weeks. At the time, it felt like it was a hot potato with the IC Championship, but you having it for that long. So were there ever plans for you to keep going or there was
There
no
was,
plans
yeah.
and you were just rolling with it?
No, originally we were going to go like I think the idea was to go right up to like the record and then like lose it like a day before or something like that. But plans changed and we dropped the title somewhere on a European tour and that was it.
Right. But yet I love the Honkometer so much. But then at one point, though, it went from the Honkometer and it started like jamming in other Intercontinental Championship
Oh yeah.
names. And I was like, who's trying to tamper with greatness? You can't change perfection, the Honkometer. And now they were trying to change it. And that's when I felt like I was like, this can't go 64 weeks. I'm like, if you kept it going the Honkometer, I think personally it could have gone. You could have gone 63 weeks and then lose it the day before. But so whose decision do you think was it to suddenly like change the name of it?
Well, the change the name, I'm not sure because the name change wasn't around very long. That was pretty much right near the end. But
Yeah.
they didn't want to have a comedy character with one of the more prestigious championships, so that was a quick end to that.
That's interesting that would be the case because for so many years we had, dumpster drivers and plumbers and man tars, but yet Santino Marella too was too much. Anyways, though I love your background. Is that the 2011 Royal Rumble chair?
Oh, my background.
Yes. Is that
Oh,
that
yes, it is. Yeah, it
where
is.
you were the last man eliminated in the 2011 the first ever 40-man Rumble as well? So was anyone told like, hey, you might actually win this thing?
Well, it was the year before. I think the year before I was second,
Mm.
and then the next year I was on the chair and the poster, which is my only pay per view chair and poster. So my parents actually just sold their house of 41 years. So we've been going through some stuff, and my dad has this awesome collection of like everything I had: t-shirts, action figures, pay per view chairs. So I'm just trying to sorting through. This is like a spare bedroom office, and I got boxes over here of like my dad kept multiples of every T-shirt I ever had. So it's good that someone kept it because I'm not very good at keeping that stuff, but it's kind of fun to go through the boxes and find all the old stuff again.
So you didn't go to the store the first day you could purchase your action figure?
Yeah, no, I was on the road. During that time, you were on the road a lot. I've
Wow.
seen myself in a store, but they kind of send you a couple, right, of every new action figure. So I just gave them to my dad, and he was more proud of them than I was. And now I get it with my daughter, of course, in NXT. I'm a lot more. It's a lot more exciting for me than I'm sure it is for her because it's her child.
Of course. Now, what is that like being a father and seeing one of your children involved with what you were involved with for so long?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, this is really the first. Like, I mean, we didn't really have a family business to pass down, or everyone was in different trades. So this is kind of the first, back to back generational family business type thing. And I mean, my daughter's 27, and then I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So I'm not sure if the younger ones will follow in her footsteps, but it'd be pretty interesting to see it if they do. I'll be a lot older by then.
Of course, but they'll will you out there and put the cobra on your hand and make you hit somebody in 25, 30 years from now for a pop. You know what's going to
Well,
happen.
that's the thing. I can do it pretty much forever, right? You know, I could even do it in a wheelchair. I just gotta poke somebody.
Right, that's true. Yeah. Hopefully your hands are doing well at that time with the
Thank you.
putting like a cobra on your hand. But that chair is interesting because I was at the 2011 Royal Rumble in Boston, the first ever 40-man Rumble, and in the audience, at one point, we all believed that you were about to win the Royal Rumble. And it's happened a few times with you where you almost beat Daniel Bryan inside of Elimination Chamber for the World Heavyweight Championship. Like, are these things that are told to you, like, oh, hey, you're gonna go out there and trick everybody, and this person will win? Like, does that ever affect you when you know that they're not gonna put the world title on you because of the way your character is perceived on TV as a comedy act?
Yeah, I know. You know what? Well, I mean, um, every time something like that happened, where I knew we were going to come close, and I just looked at it like, okay, this is going to be cool, and then hindsight, excuse me, you always, especially the elimination chamber, you look back and like, damn, that was something special that night.
Yeah.
People still talk about that to this day, where it was like one of the biggest mistakes in terms of writing that the WWE ever made. One thing they should have allowed to happen to satisfy the crowd. And that's up there with one of them. It's like it's in everyone's top five kind of things they should have done.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talked to people that were there for the Royal Rumble, and they were like, "Man, we thought you were going to win," and we were cool with it. We were good. We're like, "Okay, Santino's going to be in the main event of Mania. I'm good with that." And that means a lot to me that fans were cool, or just it made sense at the time that this was the direction they were going to go. People love Santino. There's something romantic about always coming so close and never really getting that complete full satisfaction
Yeah.
of getting what they wanted. So it always leaves the door open for that whatever miracle return, or something, right? Just to hopefully one day finally satisfy that itch.
And you make a very good point that everyone was okay with it. It wasn't like, oh, this guy's going to win the Rumble. This guy's going to win the Chamber. There was a feeling of like, you know what? This is a good idea. And yet they didn't pull a trigger because I think in the ring, you were a wrestler. Like you actually performed versus the backstage antics of mispronouncing names or things like that. It's like I think the backstage affected too much maybe of the in-ring. And that's why they're like, not going to get you. We'll get you pretty close, but you're never going to hold it. But did you ever think that possibly you could win the world title?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the character is based on a miracle, right?
Yeah.
I always thought that there was, before my neck, my surgery and everything. I thought we were going to have a miracle moment where I was going to win the big one, even if it was for a couple of weeks. I kind of thought, and that was really my intention to when I was coming back off the injury and trying to come back, was to come back and just experience that moment, that fulfillment of the miracle, and but yeah, my neck was never well enough to come back and do that.
Right. Though there is something I need to know if it's true or not. Is there true somewhere in a vault somewhere there's actually a Santino sitcom that was taped and recorded and edited, but yet we, the people, are not able to see this?
Yeah. So what happened was I pitched a sitcom. So I did I think it was one episode. So I kind of wrote it, and there was Beth Phoenix and I. It was kind of like what was it called? Somebody Loves Santino, and it was just basically like Beth Phoenix, like our home life.
Yeah.
So I got some of the guys from the online to kind of do some editing and add some canned laughter. And I waited around one night after Raw, and I outside Vince's office, and I gave him the CD, and I'm like, yeah, this is an idea I had, and he watched it, and he said, yeah, we're gonna do it. So then he assigned a writer to actually do like real, a pilot or
Yeah.
real 3 episodes. But there was this like, what do you call it? Like a tragedy of errors or whatever, that like the writer got Lyme disease, and then the writer broke his hip, and then the writer's father died. And this guy's trying to put together 3 funny episodes. One episode was fun. A couple episodes were funny. One was horrible. And when we put together the WWE kind of a little bit higher budget pilots, they weren't funny, and it was like, yeah, no, we're not doing it. But the original one that I did, I thought was better. So we had a little bit of a difference in opinion. Brian Gewirtz and I. He wanted to do a little bit of like a Curb Your Enthusiasm type camera work. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted pure Disney canned laughter, that standard sitcom backdrop with the stairs on an angle,
Yeah.
the whole thing. I wanted it to be for kids, and he wanted it to be, I guess, for a little bit of an older audience. But it really never got going. And then years later, I saw the Big Show had that sitcom on Netflix and stuff, and I'm like, that should have been my sitcom, man. he oops, sorry, he did a great job, but it's just the wrong character, right? I think that's a sitcom should be with a comedy guy, and Big Show's you don't think of Big Show, and the first thing you think of is comedy. Although he's a funny guy, he's a giant, right?
Right.
Um, yeah, so there is actually, it's funny. Look at this. Oh gosh, sorry. Um, right there, Santino Marella pilot rough mix. Again,
Oh my God.
I've been going through these boxes, and there's some some DVDs
Put
there.
that thing in a case. It's just sitting out. It's gonna get scratched.
There is a case. So,
Oh,
no, wait. There's a case somewhere here. There's a
oh,
case. I was just looking at it.
oh my God. You might have the only copy of the sitcom that can be re-released in like 50 years for copyright reasons.
Yeah, there's a couple episodes that have the one where Santino gets addicted to Nicorette. He never smokes, but he gets addicted to Nicorette. This incredible, and it's just that one's funny. And then there's one little episode where Vladimir Kozlov gets this voice activated car, like all the bells and whistles. And because of our two accents, we can't get the car to do anything.
Oh my
The
God.
seats are reclining when we don't want them to, and all this stuff. So
Oh
yeah,
my God.
that kind of stuff was funny. The other
Yeah.
one that's not funny was this Santino liked the girl at the tanning salon. So he just kept going and going and going and getting so burnt, but it was just like the makeup was bad, and it was just it wasn't good.
So the one that you filmed yourself versus the one that WWE filmed, which is 3 episodes you mentioned. So I remember seeing clips of it before because I think it was for online, like W.com. Like they were trying to do the dirt sheets, and Crime Time had their own show. Like there was a couple shows they were developing. Was this supposed to be for the Future Network, or is this like because they had on demand at one point too?
Yeah, no, this was supposed to be for the future when the network.
When
Yeah,
it opened.
yeah, like a TV show on the network. And it still has wheels. They did if it was done right, I think it would be very, very family friendly
Yeah.
and fun to watch.
Oh man, that sounds awesome. I wish, because I remember seeing the clip in a commercial, like advertising. I swear, there's like a little blip of you opening a door. It reminded me of like old school 50s sitcoms. That's what it looked like at least. And
Hmm.
the designer you're talking about with the staircase reminds me of like a family sitcom. You in like a sweater. Oh man, I wish the world could see this. So then, how did you feel about that? So obviously, you shoot this show. You must be thinking this show is going to do something for you in your career beyond wrestling. You think, oh, this is going to channel me off into maybe sitcoms on TV or Hollywood. So, what was your reaction when someone's like, "I'm sorry, everything fell apart. We're not doing this."
Yeah, I was disappointed, but at the same time, I was also full time on the road. And like, gosh, we were on the road 5 days a week. And gone on European tours like once a month. So it was okay because I was super busy at the time.
Yeah.
But it was disappointing because I definitely thought it was something I can branch off and do for years to come, and no bumps, and it can go even mainstream and stuff. Yeah, I don't think about it too much, but I believe there is a lost opportunity for sure.
Yeah, I agree because at one point the Santino character and Beth Phoenix, their segments on all shows on anything, it was gold. And obviously your delivery of everything that was just mispronouncing names, outstanding. But yet the Beth Phoenix and Santino combo, I think forever is going to be remembered as like the best part of your career, at least personally for me. Where did that relationship come to be? A powerhouse and a comedic character come together?
Yeah, but believe it or not, so I knew Beth from OVW,
Okay.
and she pitched it. I guess everybody's career has peaks and valleys. She was kind of in a valley, and I was kind of in the valley, and she pitched the idea. Vince loved it, and they went with it, and it was so much fun because we would like give each other ideas and kind of feed off each other, and oh, we can do this, we can do this, and we would get so excited backstage. And she's like the perfect, like it was the perfect combination, right? The whole role playing, and she's the alpha, and Santino is so insecure, and he's just trying desperately to prove that he's the man, and the dynamics were so fun on as we presented it to the WWE universe. But then just backstage, I love Beth. She's amazing, and she's just like intelligent and kind, and like my joke is she's what you want in whatever role or capacity you could think of wanting somebody. She's what you want. She's what you want as a friend, as a colleague, as a mom. She's probably an awesome wife, I'm sure. She's what you want. So I was so glad to be with her. She's so professional, and she's just an awesome person. So it was a fun time behind the scenes for us too, because we were both, working with people we trust and respect a lot. So it was just fun times.
I remember you guys won dual championships at an event, and
Yeah.
you got on her shoulders.
Yeah.
And you held the belt. That was classic because you were right. You bring it up. Role reversal. Not a lot of people, I think, would be okay with the fact that, oh wait, you're not going to be the alpha male in this situation. You're actually the background character, and she's bossing you around. And I it was brilliant. Did you feel fine with that? I know some people might be like, oh, I don't want this.
I have zero ego. I'm cool with that. And she's like legit, like super strong too. Because even on some of the live events, she like carried me over her shoulders up the stairs, and we rehearsed the thing on the shoulders. But that was like, pre-match, no sweat, and all of a sudden, she's fatigued. We're both sweaty, and she was struggling a little bit at the end. I'm 200 at the time. I was like 227 pounds. She's like 160 pounds. So I'm a lot heavier, and all those factors. And she just gutted it out, man. She was so strong. She's strong, like legit strong. Like not. There's no show there. That's all go. She's a beast, man.
I bet that was some of the best times. Like it just reminded me of even like when Victoria and Stevie Richards were together. It was like a very I'm the boss, you're my valet. Beth Phoenix with you was great. But did you enjoy being a comedic character with the Cobra? Obviously, that was great for Saturday Morning Slam. That was obviously great for you in merchandise sales. But did you ever want to be taken more seriously in the ring?
Yeah, I mean, I was a serious wrestler up until the night I debuted. I mean, like I was a Russian character called Boris Alexiev. I was fighting in Japan as Johnny Giobosco, and all of a sudden they said, we got this opportunity, and even when I first started as Santino's kind of a little good guy, spark plug,
Yeah.
hey. And then the WWE Universe did not like to be force fed, as we all know, a new superstar. And like all of a sudden, I pulled one out on Chris Masters, and I pulled one out on Shelton Benjamin, and you could hear them. I could just feel them saying like, well, he's going to get lucky every time, kind of thing, So they started turning on the original incarnation of Santino, and then Santino turned into a bad guy. And if that didn't work, repackaged, released, who knows? One of those re's. I don't want to find out which one. But as soon as Santino became a bad guy, the comedy came out. As soon as he was complaining, and that's where you could, some of the personality, it just came out, and it tickled Vince's funny bone, and that's really all you got to do is tickle Vince's funny bone, and then you got some job security. And as soon as I turned bad, they put a mic in my hand like every week for like months and months and months. So, it turned out okay. And actually, I separated my shoulder. So there's this one here, in a match against Umaga on a live event. And so I couldn't wrestle. And then they just gave me the mic, and things took off from at that moment, really from there.
Wow. And you did make your debut as a fan in the audience. And it was quite a moment. Like Bobby Lashley was involved in Umaga, and at the time, these were huge players. They were involved with Vince McMahon versus Donald Trump, hair versus hair,
Yeah.
WrestleMania 23. So it's this huge for you. So if someone calls you up and say, "Hey, we want you to be, a spark plug," and hey, I'll get you, I obviously you're gonna say yes. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. That doesn't sound good to me. But it worked out for you. Obviously, those Cobra snakes must have sold a fortune.
There's yeah, they sold a lot. It's funny. I remember doing the math in the beginning, and someone was like, misquoted the percentage, and I'm like, that's 400 a night. They're selling 400 Cobras. I'm like $10, 4,000, 25%. That's an extra $1,000 a day. It's not 25%. So it was a lot less. But yeah, they were a hot commodity, especially when you go to the t-shirt stand and 25, 30, $35, and there's something for $10 that you can wear. But I was talking to a kid at one of the signings, and they had to ban the Cobra from his elementary school because everyone was just Cobraing everybody constantly, and that kind of stuff is really cool. Especially when I see like people tag me videos of like some guy scoring a touchdown and doing the Cobra and hitting his teammates. Some guy scoring a goal like in Europe in soccer
Wow.
and doing the Cobra, and his teammates fall. Baseball, the whole bench is doing like rally Cobras. Giannis Akatatumbo, they're play wrestling backstage. He's giving Cobras. So when I see that kind of stuff, it really makes me wonder like the impact for that segment of time that the Cobra actually had. It's a move that anybody can do. It's not dangerous.
Right.
It should be dangerous, but it's not. And yeah, it was pretty popular, man. It kind of transcended, mainstream culture, really.
That's awesome. That because you got to again, you can have maybe the best matches all you want, and wrestling fans will know that. But when you create the Cobra, it's gone beyond wrestling. It's entered the real world, and now yeah, right. Suddenly, it's in all types of pop culture references. And again, the Cobra. I used to give Boston crabs to my friends when I was a kid. That versus poking someone in the face is, I think, a
Yeah.
little safer.
Yeah, and I mean, people will say, "Oh, this is my buddy. He used to wrestle Santino," and they go, "Cobra guy," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it."
Better than, oh, I'm sorry, who are you? Like, you don't want to hear
Yeah,
that. You don't want to
yeah.
hear that. There is a story online, and you probably get to ask this a million times, but this is like a different, I don't know, a way to go about it. So there's a story online that says Jim Cornette slapped you because you weren't reacting properly to the boogeyman in the audience, but they say Jim Cornette was fired because of that incident. Now, I have a theory that in any business, you create a case against an employee before you get rid of them, usually. I am guessing that your slap or your tap or whatever happened is that final, help, you went past the line. We've done so many things already. Now we've reached here. What did you hear about him being laid off? Was it someone said, oh, it's because what happened to you? Or is it, hey, this has been building for a while and that was just the end?
No, you're absolutely right. To be honest, it was the final straw
Okay.
really that broke the camel's back. They had been wanting to get rid of him for quite some time. Allegations of racism and just abuse, threatening at talent and all this stuff. And yeah, he called me. So it was my first day there ever at OVW TV. I was with my daughter actually. She was 10 at the time, I believe, and we were just in the audience, and the
So you wait,
boogeyman,
your daughter sat next to you?
she was in front of me. Now,
Okay.
here's the reason I was smiling,
Okay.
because the boogeyman, she was shitting her pants, right? And so I went to grab her because she was trembling. She was 10.
Yeah.
And I just kind of sat back like, this is going to be good, man. She's going to remember this forever. And that smirk on my face of me saying, oh, this is going to be good, infuriated him. He thought that I was laughing at the product and not selling, and
Hmm.
and yeah, and that's kind of the history. Then I was called backstage, and he berated me and yelled at me, and didn't really phase me at all. I mean, I've had football coaches screaming in my face and judo coaches,
Of
trying to
course.
choke me out.
Is your daughter next to you while he's yelling at you? Where's your daughter?
No, 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 no. Yeah, they brought me backstage,
Okay.
and then they left her out there with some of the other. But the irony is, it was just like my first day, like in my first my first day, and I'm like, I'm just an audience member. I don't think I have any responsibilities on this show. I'm like, I'm here with my family, man. And he was a hothead.
Of
And the
course.
only thing, the worst part is I didn't get a chance to learn from him. because he obviously has a lot of experience, and I'm sure I could have learned a tremendous amount from him if he didn't blow it for himself and for everybody else by being an idiot and getting fired.
I'm kind of happy. Oh no, I'm not kind of. I'm happy you said that because the story online is just like, oh, he attacked Jim Cornette, attacked you backstage, slapped you, and that's what got him fired. But clearly, this was not a oh, you did this, you're out. This is clearly we've been trying to get rid of you, and
Yeah, it just
we finally found the moment that is unsafe work environment that you got to get out of here.
yeah, and WWE was pretty cool, man. They were honest. They sat me down. They said, "Look, we've been wanting to get rid of him for quite some time. He's not getting fired because of you. Like, kind of to take the guilt off me, right?"
Right.
And also, they go, "Look, and on the other hand, there's no freebies because of this. When the time is right, we hear you have some potential that we'll give you an unbiased observation.
Yeah.
And but by no means is there anything given to you. And some people think I was given the job like the next day. It was like over a year later when I earned it myself, and I was going to practice 3 times a day in morning class and the intermediate class and the advanced class, and for well over a year. And I even wanted to test it out. So when I debuted as Santino, I saw Johnny Ace backstage. I said, "Hey man, I want to thank you for giving me that unbiased observation." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Thank you. That's what I needed to hear." I said, "I'm the Cornette guy," and I could see his face like, "No shit." And but just the fact that he didn't know who I was when I said that, I
Right.
know that I earned it on my own merit, because he likes to tell people that I was just gifted a job so that I wouldn't sue, and I wasn't going to sue. Like, that just this no, it's not even my DNA to want to sue anybody.
Right.
So yeah, it was just a blip on the radar.
Because I was going to say, I was going to think the opposite was sometimes in big corporations, you end up on like a list where it's like, yeah, this person's a troublemaker. Obviously, you're not a troublemaker, but you caused a troublesome incident. And so someone might label you on your first day. It's not like you've been there for 6 months and people know, oh, that's not him. He wouldn't do that. Versus first day, impressions are everything sometimes in business. And here you are. Yet that moment of you smiling as a father with your daughter, and then that being ripped away from you as a memory to remember forever, you have to deal with these questions about this moment.
Yeah, it's funny because it's 17 years ago.
Still being asked about it.
Still asked about it,
Of
and then
course.
so the whole thing that happened a couple of years back, when I had my neck surgery, I had a buddy named Josh, and this guy, one day I'm still in bandages. I just had my surgery, and I see missed call, a text message saying, "Dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't know he was going to do that." Voicemail shows up, voicemail, missed call. And I'm like, "What the hell?" So I answer his next call, and he goes, "Dude, I'm sorry. I didn't know he was going to do that. He just took the phone. He wouldn't give it back." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You didn't hear the message?" I said, "No, man." So anyway, I listened to the message, and it's Jim Cornette, and he's at like a convention or something. And my buddy Josh said, "Did you hear Santino had neck surgery? He had to retire." And he goes, "Oh yeah, you know him?" And my buddy goes, "Yeah, yeah, he was call him up." My buddy calls me up, and it's leaving a message, and Jim Cornette takes the phone and cuts this promo in front of everybody. "This is Jim Cornette, and I heard that you have to retire because of a neck injury. And I just couldn't say I'm so happy. You never deserved to be there. You were a joke." And like, I'm looking at my phone, and I'm still literally in bandages out of surgery.
Right.
And I'm like, "What a dirtbag?" And I said, like, the first interaction, altercation, I'll let that slide, but this one I'm gonna remember. And then when I retired from WWE, I did one of those shoot videos with Rob Feinstein, shoot videos,
Yeah.
and I told the story for the first time. And so someone heard it, messaged him, and was like, "I'm gonna shit on your grave when you're dead." And he's like, "What?" And then he heard about it, and he denied it in the beginning. He's like, "I never did that." Obviously, he was embarrassed, and he realized he crossed the line.
Yeah.
So, and then fast forward like several years later, there's a convention in Detroit, and my buddy Scott Demore was like, "Hey, my buddy needs one more guy. Would you care to go? So and so is going to be here. So and so is going to be here. Jim Cornette's going to be here." I go, "Jim Cornette's going to be there." I go, "Okay, I'll go." And I just honestly wanted to do what I did: extend my hand, have a chuckle, Let's have a laugh. Let's put it behind us.
Yeah.
We have enough mutual friends that I'm hoping we can be men about it. And just, he proceeds to try and cut this promo on me. Oh, so here's the thing. In the convention hall, I go to the bathroom. I'm walking down the hallway. There's like nobody in the hallway because the convention's inside. And the door just opens and he comes out by himself. And I guess he's going to the bathroom too or whatever. So I start smirking right away and I'm like, okay, here we go. Man to man, no one's around. Let's hash it out.
Yeah.
And so I go up to him, extend my hand and say, hey, Anthony Corelli, And he tries to cut this promo and walk away. And I'm like, wait a second, man. After all these years, you think it's just going to go down like this? I go, you got to be absolutely kidding me. And I said, I came here to whatever, put it behind us. But if you're willing to take it somewhere, I'm not that kid anymore. You have zero power over me in this industry. I'm retired, man. It's just man to man. There's no way you're going to punk me off like that, man to man, and walk away. And then, of course, he did the whole help security. This guy's trying to start something, and I just pushed out because in one of his podcast, when someone called him out on it, he said, "You know what? Next time I see him, I'm going to slap him again." And that was when I made a mental note. And I said, "Okay, we'll see." So here I am. Slap me again. And then instead he cried for help like a wussy.
So that's the last time you saw him?
Yeah, I never even really met the guy. It was like I met him once to slap it. And then years later, I met him again, stuck my hand out to put it behind us. And he's freaked out and made his whole scene and still never had to sit down, had a beer, had a chuckle over it. Like, I don't carry any ill will towards anybody, but man, this guy has some serious issues, man.
Right. There's many stories online involving him. So you're not the first person to tell a story about Jim Cornette. You probably won't be the last either.
Yeah, it's called The Common Denominator, and he's definitely that.
It's quite an interesting tale of. I've read so many things online about him, and you're like, wow, I can't believe someone said that. But again, I'm not Jim Cornette, so I don't know.
I'd still have a beer with the guy,
Of course. Oh, I would too. But the stories you hear, I'm not personally involved with them. So obviously you are. So when you hear this, you're like, this happened for real? Yeah. Like everything that you've read online is true. And that's interesting. The hallway though is interesting. Very seeing each other in this. No one's around. It's just you two. It could have gone wrong very quick.
I thought nobody was around, but there was like video clips popped up like instantaneously before I even left the venue. I was driving home and my buddies are texting me saying, "What the hell happened in Detroit?" And there's like video clips and everything. I mean, where did these people even like come out of?
Popping out of holes and
like people
walls.
Are quick on the draw when it comes to recording stuff.
Well, they were like, "Oh my God, Santino's finally going to do it!" So they they definitely had the cameras out for that one. But many fans remember WrestleMania moments. WrestleMania 25 for one. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. Oh, everyone remembers that match. That's the greatest thing on that card, right? No, it's not. It's your twin sister winning Miss WrestleMania. This would not fly in today's world. No.
It's definitely a different time. I don't know if it would fly today because there's definitely a movement, but to make light of it, I don't know if we're there, but to highlight and showcase it, yeah, it's interesting. I never thought of it, if it would fly today. But it was definitely a memorable moment. And probably actually the irony is it's probably one of my favorite WrestleMania moments, and it's not even as me kind of thing. But I was just at Ric Flair's last match in Nashville last weekend, and I was at the StarCast event, and someone's like, "Hey, where's your sister?" And I'm dead serious going, "You just missed her. She's actually..." And the guy's like, "What the hell?" His brain was frying. Like, I go, "She's real, man."
He probably was a little fried, so he's probably like, "Well, I'm sorry, is she real? Like, I want to date her. And I'm going, can you give her a phone number to me?" Like, yeah, sure, buddy, sure. But yeah, that moment is hilarious. I think the hog pen match obviously is fun too. Like, there's so many Santino moments that people try to like, "Oh, can you believe that?" It's like, were you watching? Were you laughing? Were you having a good time? Was it taking you away from your problems of everyday life? Yes. So I would say Santina to me is a thumbs up. What would you say about that experience? Who came up
I
with that?
loved it. I loved it. Well, Santino was supposed to be a one night only, and it was just so funny. Like, people that were in Gorilla, they're like, "Dude, Vince was pissing his pants." It was so funny, and so she stuck around for a few months.
Yeah.
But it was really supposed to be that, like, that was the payoff, right? But on a personal thing, I think it's some of my best work because I was conscious of the layers, right? I'm a Canadian guy playing an Italian guy who's playing his sister, and there was like multiple overlapping accents and personality types. And on WWE television, we never said that we never admitted it was Santino. I mean, obviously everybody knew that, but I mean,
I'm sorry. What?
um,
I'm sorry. What do you mean everyone? I'm sorry. What did you just say?
nothing, nothing.
Okay. I just want to I have to edit
But
this. I definitely have to edit this, folks. We have to edit this.
even at the end when Donald Trump fired Santina, we never ever broke kayfabe with regards to saying that the character is real and stuff.
Oh my god. I love I again that the people who are mad at the comedy of wrestling are the people not realizing that they've been watching a man who's like a zombie who beats you up in a ring and shows up on time. Like that's the Undertaker. Like
Yeah,
the
he's
fact that
undead.
he's undead and they're like, "Oh my god, a man pretending to be his sister. That's crossing the line." It's like,
Yeah, well, for like my original coach Don Koloff, he's kind of like, wow, once they make someone dressed as a woman, that's the end. They're trying to squeeze every last drop of entertainment out of him. There's no coming back from that. And I was like, oh yeah. And I came, obviously I came back and had a title run after, and then even tag team championship run, multiple title runs.
yeah.
But it was challenging. It was fun. Getting the lashes put on every TV was pretty interesting, and kind of a lot of respect for what the women go through in terms of makeup and everything. But it was fun. It was very fun. I've always been an advocate of if, when given lemons, make lemonade. And um, again, some of my best performances were as Santina.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those things. Santina was only around for like 3 months, but so many members, I'll go to a signing anywhere and someone's like, well, "How's your sister?" It's everyone remembers Santina,
It
and why not?
sounds
She was
it sounds like you're
stunning.
bothered by people asking you where your sister is and not appreciating that you're there. Is that is
It's
that, is
just
that what it sounds like?
no, it's the same joke. Like, where's your sister? And they're like, you got me, you got me.
I would love the fact that it's 100 people, like over 100 to 1,000 people in the line waiting for you, and each person tells you the same joke, and you're like, ha ha ha, next person, ha
Yeah,
ha ha, next person.
he wasn't very. Yeah, he was. He didn't think that was funny. No, I did the first 300 times.
Right, and then here we are now. At least I didn't make it. I didn't ask where your sister was.
You're just you probably
My
were.
mind was melting when you tried to explain to me that you are your sister. I didn't really.
No, she's my twin.
I just want to make
She's
sure
born
that.
3 minutes after me,
Okay.
and she's a huge fan of mine. She got all the same tattoos, and my poor mother watching her get her tattoos was hard on her.
I bet it's a hard day in the life. But what are your biggest accomplishments you think you've pulled off in the WWE, or even your general in your entire career? Because you're still doing more. Like, what are your outside projects currently right now, and what are your biggest accomplishments so far?
I think my biggest accomplishments were well, one, I was 32 years old when I got signed. I started wrestling pretty late. I went through university, teachers college. I worked in the corporate world a few years. I kind of started training at 28. I had my first match at 29. I moved to Japan when I was 30. I learned how to lock up at 31. Got signed at 32 and debuted at 33. And then hold on tight 10 years later, and we winded it up or with a neck surgery. So I defied the odds in that
Yeah,
sense, 5'10", 32 years old, to have a 10-year career. Um, it was definitely defying the odds. But because of that, I was super grateful and living in the moment from day one. A lot of people, they focus on where they want to be and the discrepancy between where they are and where they want to be,
hmm
and that discrepancy is often negative. And I just had a really good coach who put things into perspective, Rip Rogers, and every day was an absolute blessing. And people would be upset for some. I said, guys, we're professional wrestlers for a living. for a living. We're traveling the world pretending we're fighting. Come on. There's nothing. I couldn't have a bad day. I just couldn't. How could I? It was living a dream. It was the most incredible adventure ever. I have the ability to bring a particular moment to life to its absolute fullest. I thought, and I didn't, and because of that, I'd be called old school by the old school
Hmm.
generation, and because there was nothing flashy. Right? I didn't have to do backflips. I just brought the character to life to a point where you were just taken in, and you forgot that he's not a real person. You forgot that this is a show, and you just got sucked into the storyline and the story being told in the ring.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest accomplishments is that I'm referred to as old school by the guys from the golden era that I watched. I'm like, hey man, you're like us, man. You're old school, and I'm like, yeah, that's amazing to me. I believe I was properly trained, and I feel like a sense of now that I'm a coach, and I want to restore that quality of storytelling and that quality of character work and believability where you can just get lost into a movie. I use movies as analogies often because everyone knows it's a movie. Hell, you went and you paid and you're watching a movie. But a good movie, e- even if it's Tom Cruise and you see him in 30 movies, he's such a damn good actor. You get sucked into the character,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm a huge advocate of that. I call it the restoration of professional wrestling. And it's definitely an uphill battle because there's a lot of diluted um, the quality of wrestling that's being taught is quite diluted and it's very trendy and slap the leg and spot fest and guys doing backflips and dives and all these things that are just so you know I get it, right? You train at your school and you go in the independent scene and you say, okay, everyone's doing this, I guess this is what I should be doing, but that's like the opposite, right? It's counterintuitive where everyone's doing this. Okay, I'm not going to do this because I want to be noticed and I want to stand out.
Hmm.
And it's an interesting game, and it's as a coach, is not very rewarding because you can have the best athlete in the world, but if he's just doesn't have the physical attributes to make it, or vice versa, the guy's an amazing wrestler doesn't have the personality to kind of make it. So you have to have this like perfect storm of you know ability and looks and mentality and then coaching and when all these things line up, maybe you got a chance. So it's not the most rewarding job in the world in terms of success rates, but it's definitely a challenge, and it makes you know very self-aware and analyze and assess your coaching methods to get like become the most efficient at conveying a lot of information that takes hundreds, actually thousands of matches to really get it. And I traveled to all over the world to get this information. Now I got to condense it and compress it and try and relay it to somebody in definitely a shorter period of time than it took me to acquire it. So it's a coaching is an interesting gig.
Well, that's your new chapter in life, and I'm very appreciative of you being here, talking about everything underneath the sun, from your sister being real.